Hello everyone, it's Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a match between two sealed decks, a Selesnya Hour of Devastation sealed deck here, and a Gruul Hour of Devastation sealed deck over there. Selesnya will be in gold, Gruul will be in green. We're going to be playing a best of 3. I've built the decks in previous videos, and the links to those are in the description box down below if you'd like to see how I construct the decks. But let us begin by rolling a couple dice and seeing who goes first. High roll. 9 for Selesnya. Gruul rolls 8. Selesnya will opt to go first. Selesnya has 2 lands and several spells, none of which Selesnya can cast, but I feel as though this is possibly a good start. 2 more lands and everything will be able to be cast, and so we will keep this hand. Gruul has 2 lands, both forests, no mountains to be able to cast these other 2 cards, and only the Frilled Sandwalla being able to be cast. Being on the draw and seeing these expensive cards in my hand makes me want to mulligan, but I do have this Cycling Rampaging Hippo as well as this Frilled Sandwalla, and so I am tempted to keep this hand just on the strength of those 2 cards and hopefully being able to get back and cast eventually these 2 red cards and the Bitterboro Sharpshooters. So Gruul is going to keep this hand as well. Turn 1, Selesnya will play a Plains and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Not punished. Gruul will play a Forest, Gruul will tap and play a Frilled Sandwalla, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Forest, will tap the Plains and the Forest and play a Gustwalker, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the Mountain, and then seeing that Selesnya has a potential flyer, I think Gruul will attack with the Frilled Sandwalla. Selesnya, seeing that Gruul could activate the Frilled Sandwalla and eat the Gustwalker, will decline to block and will take 2 damage, going to 18. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Desert of the Indomitable tapped, and Selesnya will attack with the Gustwalker for 2. Gruul will not block and will take 2 to go to 18. Correction from Selesnya, the Frilled Sandwalla only did 1 damage, so Selesnya is only at 19. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul at the end of Selesnya's turn will cycle the Rampaging Hippo. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Mountain. And then Gruul will attack for 1 with the Frilled Sandwalla. Selesnya will decline to block and take 1 to go to 18. On the second main phase, Gruul will play a Minotaur Sure Shot, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will tap, exerting the Gustwalker, so it is 3/3 and flying. Gruul will decline to block and will take 3, going to 15. Selesnya has no follow-up and will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Forest. Gruul will attack with both the Minotaur Sure Shot and the Frilled Sandwalla. Selesnya will tap 1 white and 2 green and play Sandblast on the Minotaur Sure Shot. Gruul has no response and will lose the Minotaur Sure Shot. And then Gruul will pay a green and a red to pump the Frilled Sandwalla to do 3. Selesnya will take 3 to go to 15. Gruul will follow up by paying a green and a red to play the Defiant Kenra, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. The Gustwalker does not untap this turn, but it is no longer exerted. Selesnya will play a Plains, and Selesnya will play a Giant Spider, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a forest. Gruul will play Bitterbow Sharpshooters. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the Steadfast Sentinel, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a mountain. Gruul will play Beneath the Sands to search the library for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield. Gruul has found a forest, and we'll put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. And then Gruul will also play a Fervent Paincaster, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Dusk, destroying all creatures with power 3 or greater. Gruul loses the Bitterbow Sharpshooters and the Fervent Paincaster. Selesnya will exert and attack with the Gustwalker, and also attack with the Steadfast Sentinel and the Giant Spider. Gruul cannot block the Gustwalker and will decline to block the Steadfast Sentinel and the Giant Spider, and will take 7 damage to go to 8. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the Sifter Worm. Scrying 3. Gruul will put the Chaos Maw on top of the battlefield. We'll scry the Forest to the bottom, as well as the Feudal Prowler in this order. Forest at the very bottom, Feudal Prowler at the second to bottom. And then Gruul will reveal the Chaos Maw and gain 7 life to go back to 15. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. They do not get to untap the Gustwalker. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the Hope Tender, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the Chaos Maw, doing 3 damage to each other creature. That will kill the Filled Sandwell and the Defiant Kenra. That will kill the Gustwalker, the Steadfast Sentinel, and the Hope Tender. The Giant Spider will be left with 1 toughness. The Sifter Worm has 3 damage on it, and Gruul will attack with the Sifter Worm. Selesnya will take 7 and go to 8, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. We'll draw. We'll play the Forest, and we'll play the Ramanap Hydra, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will cycle the Desert of the Fervent. Gruul will cycle Beneath the Sands. Gruul will play a Forest, and then will attack with just the Sifter Worm. Selesnya will take 7 and go to 1. Gruul will play the Burning Fist Minotaur, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Solitary Camel and Ronon's Stalwart, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will attack with the Sifter Worm, the Chaos Maw, and the Burning Fist Minotaur. Selesnya will block the Sifter Worm with the Stalwart and the Giant Spider, the Chaos Maw with the Solitary Camel, and the Burning Fist Minotaur with the Ramanap Hydra. Damage will go through. The Sifter Worm will destroy both the Spider and the Stalwart and deal 1 damage, but the Solitary Camel will gain 3 life, so that'll put Selesnya up by 2. The Burning Fist Minotaur will be killed by the Ramanap Hydra. So Selesnya ends with 3 life. Gruul will follow up by playing the Greater Sandworm and will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the Bitterbow Sharpshooters, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will attack with everything. Selesnya will double block the Sifter Worm, take 13, and will lose. Gruul wins game 1, and now we will go to game 2. Game 2, Gruul will go first. Gruul has 3 lands, some ramp, and a Ronos' Monument, and a Greater Sandworm. There's not much that Gruul can do early, but I think it might be worth trying to ramp up to 6 and then play the Greater Sandworm quickly. So Gruul is going to keep this hand. Selesnya has 3 lands and playable spells starting at 3. I believe this is worth starting, so Selesnya will also keep this hand. Turn 1, Gruul will play Desert of the Fervent tapped and pass turn. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Plains, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Forest, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Forest, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Mountain. Gruul will play Beneath the Sands, and will find a Forest, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle the deck. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Plains. Selesnya will tap everything and play a Solitary Camel, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Forest. Gruul will play Beneath the Sands again. We'll search up a Mountain and put it into the battlefield tapped. We'll shuffle. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Draw. Selesnya will play a Forest. Selesnya will attack with the Solitary Camel for 3. Gruul has no response, will lose 3 and go to 17. Selesnya will play the Ramanap Hydra, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Forest. Gruul will play a Sifter Worm. Gruul will scry 3. And we'll put the Bitterbow Sharpshooters on top, the Forest on bottom, and the Ronos Stalwart second from the bottom. Gruul will reveal the Bitterbow Sharpshooters and gain 5 life to go to 22. And Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Desert of the Indomitable, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play Ronos' Monument. Green creatures are now 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast a creature spell, you can give a creature you control +2/+2 and trample until end of turn. Gruul will play Bitterbow Sharpshooters for 4. Thanks to the discount, we'll give Sifter Worm +2/+2 and trample, and Gruul will attack with a 9/9 trampling Sifter Worm. Selesnya will put the Ramanap Hydra on the Sifter Worm, and then we'll cast Sandblast, reducing it to 4 health. The Ramanap Hydra and the Sifter Worm will trade, but Selesnya will take 5 damage. Sifter Worm dies, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Plains. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Mountain. Gruul will play a Greater Sandworm, giving Bitterbow Sharpshooters +2/+2 and trample, and will attack with the Bitterbow Sharpshooters. Selesnya will block with the Solitary Camel. Will gain 3 life, but will lose 4 life, and so lose 1 life. And Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will pay 4 mana and play Dusk, destroying all creatures with power 3 or greater. Gruul loses the Bitterbow Sharpshooters and the Greater Sandworm, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Scaled Behemoth, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Forest. Selesnya will play Haven of Enduring Hope, gaining 3 life to go back up to 17. And Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the Hyena Pack. That will give Scaled Behemoths +2/+2 and Trample. That is an 8/9. Gruul will attack with the 8/9. Selesnya will take 8 and go to 9. And Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will attack with the Haven of Enduring Hope. Gruul will take 3 damage and go to 19. Selesnya will play Hour of Revelation, destroying all non-land permanents. That kills the Haven of Enduring Hope. Gruul will lose Ronus' Monument, Scaled Behemoth, and Hyena Pack. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Mountain, then play a Chaos Maw. There are no other creatures on the battlefield, so no other creatures die, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. So Selesnya will play the Survivor's Encampment. Selesnya will play Rampaging Hippo, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will attack with the Chaos Maw. Selesnya will not block. Will take 6 and go to 3. Gruul will play Minotaur Sure Shot, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Bitterbow Sharpshooters. Selesnya will play Sidewinder Naga, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Rampaging Hippo, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Plains. Selesnya will play Vizier of the True, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play Nahed the Eternal, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Desert's Hold on Nahed the Eternal, and will gain 3 life to go to 6, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Burning Fist Minotaur, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a Solitary Camel, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Oracle's Vault, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will pay 2. Tap the Oracle's Vault and put a counter on it. We'll exile this card, the Fanbearer. Selesnya will pay 1 mana to play the Fanbearer, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Forest, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Plains. We'll spend 2 mana to tap the Oracle's Vault, put another counter on it, and exile the Evolving Wilds, which we will just let stay exiled. Then we'll play the Gust Walker, and will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Gruul will go to attacks. Selesnya will tap the Fanbearer to tap the Chaos Maw. Gruul will decline to attack and will end their turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will spend 2 mana to tap and exile the top card using Oracle's Vault. It's a Greater Sandworm. Selesnya will play the Greater Sandworm. And then Selesnya will attack, exerting the Gustwalker, making it flying. Gruul has no response. We'll take 3 and go to 16. Selesnya will play the last plains, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a Fervent Paincaster, and then Gruul will go to attack. Selesnya will tap down using the Fanbearer, the Chaos Maw. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Gustwalker is no longer exerted. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will use the Oracle's Vault and play the forest that has been exiled. Selesnya will attack with the Greater Sandworm. Gruul will tap 3 greens to ambuscade using the Chaos Maw to hit the Greater Sandworm for 7 damage. The Greater Sandworm dies, and then Selesnya will pay 4 to play a Giant Spider and will pass the turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will go to attack. Selesnya will tap a white, use the Fanbearer's ability to tap the Chaos Maw. Gruul will pass on attacking and will play the Feral Prowler, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will use the Oracle's Vault to exile the top card and play it for free. We'll play the Ronus to Stalwart for free, and then we'll pass turn. At the end of Selesnya's turn, Gruul will tap the Fervent Paincaster to deal 1 damage. Selesnya will lose 1 life and go to 5. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will pay 2 to play the Dagger of the Worthy. We'll pay 2 more to put the Dagger of the Worthy on the Burning Fist Minotaur, giving it 4 and first strike. And then we'll go to attack. Selesnya will pay a white and use the Fanbearer to tap down the Burning Fist Minotaur. Gruul will use 2 mana to move the dagger to the Feral Prowler and will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will use the Oracle's Vault to exile the top card and will play Compulsory Rest for free, playing it on the Chaos Maw. Then Selesnya will pay 1, use the Fanbearer to tap down the Rampaging Hippo, and then will attack with the Vizier of the True, exerting it to tap down the Minotaur Sure Shot, and will attack with the Gustwalker, exerting it to give it flying. Will attack with the Solitary Camel, the Bitterbow Sharpshooters, the Sidewinder Naga, and that will be it. Gruul will not be able to block with this or any of these. We have 2 blockers. Gruul will block Vizier with the Feral Prowler and let everything else through for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 14 damage to go to 2. The Feral Prowler will trade with the Vizier, and Gruul will draw a card. Vizier will die. The Solitary Camel will do 3 damage and gain 3 life to go to 8. Gruul will tap the Fervent Paincaster to deal 1 damage to Selesnya. Selesnya loses 1 life and turn ends at 7 life. Gruul untaps. Gruul draws. Gruul will play a Defiant Kenra. Gruul will attach the Dagger of the Worthy to the Defiant Kenra and will pay 2 mana and will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. The Ghostwalker is no longer exerted. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will use the Oracle's Vault to exile the top card and keep the Sandblast. Selesnya will cycle the Desert of the Indomitable. Selesnya will use the Fanbearer to tap down the Rampaging Hippo. Selesnya will attack with the Rampaging Hippo. The Bitterbow Sharpshooters will exert an attack with Ronos the Stalwart. Will attack with the Sidewinder Naga, the Solitary Camel, and the Giant Spider. Gruul will block the Naga with the Minotaur. Will block the Bitterbow Sharpshooters with the Defiant Kenra. Will block the Hippo with the Sure Shot. Will block the Camel with the Fervent Paincaster. Will sacrifice the Chaos Maw to gain 2 life. To go to 4. Will tap the Fervent Paincaster to deal 1 damage to Selesnya. Selesnya takes 1 and goes to 6. And then we'll go to combat. The Burning Fist Minotaur, first strike, the Sidewinder Naga. Naga dies. The Bitterbow Sharpshooters and the Defiant Kenra trade. The Solitary Camel and the Fervent Paincaster will trade. And Selesnya will gain 3 life to go to 9. The Rampaging Hippo eats the Sure Shot. And the Giant Spider and the Ronos Stalwart get in for 5 damage. Gruul takes 5 damage and it goes to -1 and loses. Selesnya wins this game, game 2, and so we will go on to game 3. Game 3, Gruul will opt to go first. This is two cards and a bunch of lands. I don't think that this is playable, so Gruul will mulligan. Gruul's second hand is 2 lands, both red, expensive spells, and a Beneath the Sands that might get there if we can draw Forest. I think this might... it's risky, but I think it's worth trying. So Gruul will keep and will scry. Gruul will put the Pouncing Cheetah at the bottom because Gruul needs a forest. Selesnya will draw 7. Selesnya has 5 lands, a removal, and Ramnap Hydra, but it's probably too slow, so we will mulligan as well. Selesnya will look at their hand. 2 plains, a Hope Tender, a Fan Bearer, a Greater Sandworm, and an Aven of Enduring Hope. It's not great. There are 2 cards that are not castable with his hand, but there's a castable card that can potentially lock down 1 creature for the rest of the game, as well as the Aven, and I don't think we can go to 5, so we will keep and we will scry. We have a Giant Spider, which we'll put at the bottom. We need a forest, and pass. So turn 1, Gruul will play a mountain, and Gruul will pass. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a plains. Selesnya will play the Fanbearer, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play Desert of the Fervent tapped, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play a plains. Selesnya will attack with the Fanbearer. Gruul will take it, and we'll go to 19. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the Defiant Kenra, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play plains. Selesnya will play Solitary Camel, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a mountain. Gruul will play Fervent Paincaster. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Plains. And Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a forest. Gruul will go to combat. Selesnya will tap 2 to tap the Fanbearer to tap down the Defiant Kenra. Gruul will skip combat and will play the Hyena Pack, and then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play Plains. Selesnya will spend all the mana and play the Aven of Enduring Hope, gaining 3 life to go to 23. And then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play Dagger of the Worthy, and then will equip it to the Hyena Pack. Gruul will go 2 attacks and will attack with the Hyena Pack and the Defiant Kenra. Selesnya will take 7 and go to 16. And Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the forest. Selesnya will attack with the Aven and the Solitary Camel for 6. Gruul will take 6 and go to 13. Selesnya will pay 4, a green and a white, and play the Hope Tender. And then Selesnya will pass turn. At the end of Selesnya's turn, Gruul will tap the Fervent Paincaster to do 1 damage to Selesnya. Selesnya will lose 1 life and go to 15. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play the forest. Gruul will go to combat. Selesnya will pay 2, tap the Fanbearer to tap down the Hyena Pack. Gruul will attack with the Defiant Kenra. Selesnya will take 2 and go to 13. Gruul will pay 3 to play Beneath the Sands. Get a forest onto the battlefield tapped. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the Survivor's Encampment. Selesnya will attack with the Solitary Camel and the Aven of Enduring Hope and the Hope Tender. Gruul will block the Solitary Camel with the Fervent Paincaster, and then before damage will tap the Fervent Paincaster to do 1 damage to Selesnya. Selesnya will take 1 and go to 12. These will trade. Because Selesnya has a desert, Selesnya will gain 3 life to go to 15. Gruul will take 5 damage and go to 8. Selesnya will use the Survivor's Encampment to tap the Fanbearer for green mana, the forest, and all of the plains, and play a Greater Sandworm, and then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will play a mountain. Gruul will tap everything, play a Sifter Worm, scrying 3. We will put Ambuscade on top, Ronus' Stalwart, and Forest to the bottom. We'll reveal Ambuscade and gain 3 life, to 11. And then Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will use 2 mana to tap the Fanbearer, tap down the Sifter Worm, and then will attack with the Aven of Enduring Hope, the Greater Sandworm, and the Hope Tender. Gruul will block the Greater Sandworm with the Hyena Pack. We'll trade the Defiant Kenra and the Hope Tender, and we'll take 3 from the Aven of Enduring Hope to go to 8, and the Hyena Pack will die. Then Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul untaps. Gruul draws. Gruul will play Ambuscade, giving the Sifter Worm +1 power and killing the Greater Sandworm. Gruul will attack with the Sifter Worm for 7. Selesnya will take 7 and go to 8. Gruul will pay 4 and play the Hyena Pack, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will play the Forest. Selesnya will attack with the Haven of Enduring Hope for 3. Gruul will take 3 and go to 5. Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will equip the Dagger of the Worthy to the Hyena Pack. Gruul will go to combat. Selesnya will spend 2 mana to tap the Fanbearer to tap the Sifter Worm. Gruul will attack with the Hyena Pack for 5. Selesnya will pay 3 to Sandblast the Hyena Pack. Gruul has no response, loses the Hyena Pack. Gruul will equip the Dagger of the Worthy on the Sifter Worm, and Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will attack with the Haven of Enduring Hope for 3. Gruul will take 3 and go to 2. Selesnya will pay 6 and play the Rampaging Hippo, and Selesnya will pass turn. Gruul will untap. Gruul will draw. Gruul will go to combat. Selesnya will pay 2 mana to tap the Fanbearer to tap the Sifter Worm. Gruul will pass turn. Selesnya will untap. Selesnya will draw. Selesnya will attack with the Rampaging Hippo and the Haven of Enduring Hope. Gruul will flash in the Pouncing Cheetah and block the Rampaging Hippo, and will take 3 from the Haven of Enduring Hope and will die. Game 3 goes to Selesnya, 2-1, so Selesnya wins the match. And that was our Hour of Devastation sealed deck, head-to-head, with Gruul versus Selesnya. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the games. I know that there were a couple misplays that I saw. What did you see? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. This was Refresh, and I'll see you next time.